Where the relatability. And I know somebody who is sitting there watching saying, I wonder what would have happened if they got their money when they was 23, if they had that success when they was 24.
We wouldn't be sitting at this table. we wouldn't be sitting here. My son wouldn't have been born.
Yeah. And that's...
I don't think we would have made it.
And I don't feel no kind of way about that.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
And I'll tell you why.
Experience living is how you get to a point to where you can have a conversation about temptation and be realistic about it. But if you have not lived and understand that change, how we talk about change is necessary, change is the inevitable, change, it's like it's going to happen. And temptation is a part of that. And a lot of people are going to succumb to it in a young age.
The temptation, yeah, maybe for you, right, because you were, as a young man, but I think if success had came that early, the temptation for me would have been, I'm more tempted to leave because I know I can survive on my own.
Yeah.
Right? There were times that we stayed together because we couldn't survive without each other. This is the truth. It won't love, it won't, it was like, dang, I can't afford to leave. We're gonna have to work it out.
We stuck.
And throughout that time, we just fell back in love.
Yeah.
But there were times where we absolutely were not in love with each other. We loved each other, but being in love is completely different.
Yes.
There were times we did not like each other. There was times that you wouldn't even know we was married.
Yep, walking by each other.
But we could not afford to leave each other.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you couldn't even afford to be tempted.
So what if, but with that being said, when you say that, if you throw temptations right in the mix of that.
Yeah.
Where like y'all on one of them seasons in your marriage where it's like, hey, I don't like him. And I don't know if I'm in love with him.
Yeah.
And then temptation comes knocking on the door.
So I feel like I was about to sneeze. Go ahead.
That goes hand in hand what I said at the start of the conversation. Mm-hmm. You have those moments. We have less of those moments now, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
But what I know now at 45 that I did not know at 25 is how to eliminate the possibility of temptation coming in during those moments.
Yeah.
And life teaches you that. So, and that's what I was getting at when I was saying, like, it's how you set yourself up. If you are exploring the places where temptation can present itself and you don't understand that marriage is those ups and downs, those seasons where it's like, hey, look, we ain't on the same accord, and you still going to locations where temptation is right there to fulfill something, or you're going to a place to where you could be subject to it.
You're setting yourself up.
Then you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And if you think that every marriage is supposed to be 26 years of, can't believe you said there was a point where you didn't love me, then I don't believe.
You ain't living in truth.
You ain't
we
understanding.
We telling y'all the truth.
Yeah, you ain't understanding what this thing
we
is.
We were together since we were 19, right? Before we even knew who we were.
What?
Right? I ain't know who I was. He didn't know who he was. So we didn't even get to know who each other was, because how am I know him if he don't know him? Right? I did.
But you think you know who you are.
I thought I did, right?
You think you know. And you think you know what you want.
But I think that in that early age, to your point, if success had came and we had money to do whatever we wanted to do, do I think some type of way we could have found our way back to each other? Maybe, we'll never know.
Yeah.
But I do know, without money, I was often tempted to go back home. I was often tempted to be like, dang, I could go back home to North Carolina. I could go back to my dad's house, or I could figure it out, in my mind, in the back of my head, like, man. Because family is also temptation. Safety is temptation. Like, but they also can make it messy, your relationship, if you let them in. And so even though I was tempted to like, I'm gonna just call my daddy, I'm gonna call my mama, right? When those times were so bad, I didn't even fall into that temptation. Now, did I call and maybe complain or talk about stuff and gratefully
Talk straight trash about me.
had somebody to talk me down off the ledge in many of those seasons. So I was able to avoid everything I was thinking. Like, not saying mistakes, but decisions of just quitting altogether. But I do think that we have to remember that sometimes our family is also temptation. Going backwards is also temptation. Like those are ideas that you think it's better. Because temptation is thinking something is better than what you already have, in my opinion. Like, or you're being tempted for something that you think is going to make you feel good. The pastor was saying. And so I thought, okay, so with this topic, I think a lot of people think with success and us having like new success in the last like 5-6 years, that there's even more so temptation. But I also think, to something that you said, temptation comes in levels. It not always just people. Sometimes you're tempted to money, to taking on a different partnership, or you might be tempted to do an investment just because now you have
the means.
Yeah, the means
financial
to do so. I think it's a lot of different temptations that can happen with, it could be spending when you shouldn't, just because you know you got it or you think it's coming. Kanye used to say, spend the money before I get it, okay? I sure miss that, Kanye. Anywho, but there's so many different levels of temptation, so I think we can get into all of it.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting topic because I think, as Carlos said, we obviously we had a little conversation about it before we went live. I think when people hear it, he referred to it as low-hanging fruit, that usually they think about temptation from others in the physical, from people trying to get in between our marriage. Mm-hmm. How would you respond to it? Has it increased?
With like outsiders?
Yeah.
Don't nobody be trying to get Auntie Tab like that. You know what I'm saying? No, I think, to me, it's been more respect. Like, more appreciation for our marriage. I'm trying to think, like in the last 5 years now, I did have this one time when I had my hair in braids. The little young guys was trying to holler at me at the mall. But
I remember that.
You remember that? Hey, man, you better watch me when Donna braided up. You better watch me when Donna is braided up.
What you always say, man? If they ain't
looking on. Okay, if they ain't looking on.
Hey, as long as they ain't touching you, they ain't doing nothing crazy, little fella. Catch a charge on your little buddy.
But most people, if they know me and if they know us, it is so much respect, so much admiration for our marriage, for our covenant, right? I think the temptation has decreased and the respect has increased.
I agree. That's exactly what I was waiting to say. Mm-hmm. I don't practice anything any differently.
Yeah.
So, like, prior to the success, I always made sure that I had a small circle of people and that I didn't go to places where I didn't feel like a married man shouldn't frequent. Where I mean, of course, it's places where you're gonna go and you're hanging out with your fellas and you'll pick up on the energy and be like, okay, this ain't for me, right? Mm-hmm. In my married life. But I'm not gonna make that a place that I frequent, that I continuously go.
You ain't gonna
And-
put yourself in the temptation
Yeah, I'm not gonna do
space.
it. Like I'm not gonna be an alcoholic and be going to a bar, right? And then wondering why I can't stop drinking, right? These were things that were told to me. These were things that were told to me early on from your dad, from other men, and and I just moved like that. So
Yeah.
I continue to move the same way. Nothing changed with that. And like Tab said, we have a brand of love and family and wholesome and those type things. So I think that the people who know us, they respect us.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't have women even engaged. Now, they not, I mean, in the beginning, I think some of these little nasty women were trying to test. They was trying to test. But as we grew, and I think as we stayed consistent and loving in front of the world and supportive in front of the world, I think now that has changed. I can't tell you the last time that I even felt any energy like that.
Yeah.
So I agree. And
Unless they here at the house, because we be at home.
at home, we be at the
We
crib.
be in the house.